Welcome everybody to Dantes Street Kitchen, where I was on the streets and now I'm in the kitchen on the streets. What, I wasn't homeless, I was cooking on the streets, right? So I have 3 waffle recipes to show you guys today. The first, original, with all your basics. The second, we're gonna throw a twist on it. We're gonna add some buttermilk to the mix. And the third, you're not gonna believe this. The third, we're going to do a buttermilk fried chicken waffle sandwich. Now, I'm pretty sure you've had chicken and waffles elsewhere, but this one is going to be a little bit different. Can't wait to show you guys. Stay tuned. All right guys, so we're gonna get started with one of my favorite recipes, which is just a basic Belgian waffle. Now, we're calling it a Belgian waffle. It's not exactly a waffle from Belgium, because in Belgium they make Liège waffles, but today we're just gonna make an Americanized Belgian waffle, like how you would have at IHOP or Denny's, except these are much, much better. So let's get to it. So first we're gonna need 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of milk, and we like all of our ingredients at room temp. We're gonna use 2 eggs. It doesn't matter if the eggs are brown, white, or green. We just need 2 eggs. We're gonna use 2 tablespoons of sugar and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Now, you wanna get all your dry ingredients together first, and then we're gonna mix the wet in. So we got our milk. We got our melted butter. Now, this recipe is something that I've been doing since I was actually in middle school, and I'm a lot older now, so I've been working on this for quite some years now. Started off just, making waffles from your store-bought stuff, and then it ended with me literally getting into the whole shabazz of everything, getting really deep into it, making everything from scratch, fresh ingredients and everything like that. So we have 2 eggs, and we're gonna separate them and beat the egg whites, and I will tell you why right now. We're gonna separate our yolk from the whites. All right, with this, we're gonna beat these egg whites to a fluff. Now, some people use a hand mixer, or you could use a professional hand mixer, but I'm kind of old school, so I'm gonna just do it this way. As you can see, they're already starting to peak up. And then we're just gonna gently fold this into our mix at the end, and it's gonna really, really help with the texture and the fluffiness of the waffle. Now, what I like to do is I like to let those sit to let the air really get in there and let those rest a bit. We can come back to that. Your baking soda and your flour, I like to add those 2 together and just give this a nice little stir right here. Now, we're gonna add our sugar to our butter and our milk, and when you do this, funny because sugar and butter, when they mix in together, the sugar gets inside the butter and it creates millions of microscopic air pockets. And that's how yellow cake gets so fluffy and gets so spongy like. So we want that same nice texture for the waffle. Now we can add in our egg yolk. And then we just want to lightly start to mix this in. This is going to be our butter, our sugar, and our eggs and our milk. Then we can slowly start to add our flour into our wets. And then just slowly, you can start to add these in together. And once again, we're doing this slowly and we're doing this separate because we don't want your batter to be lumpy. You want it to be very smooth and consistent. And one big thing that any baker will tell you, you don't want to over mix your batter. You don't want it to be lumpy, but you don't want it to be too silky and too smooth. Now, I started off all this literally making waffles on the street, on the corner, And I would start with store-bought mix, and then I would just add a little razzmatazz to it. Then I really got deep into it, and I really realized all store-bought mix is baking soda, a little salt, and flour combined. So then that kind of took all the fun out of everything. After experimenting for a few years now, I finally figured out the true recipe, and I followed many recipes online, and they all kind of tell you the same thing, but honestly, I just like mine a little bit better. So now you see how it's very, very consistent and it's not over mixed. And here's one thing that the online recipes won't tell you. You want to get a little dash of cinnamon in there, and this is really, really going to help with the taste. A little bit of vanilla flavor. And this is already starting to smell very, very good. And the cinnamon has been a complete game changer, especially when selling on the streets and people are walking by, they could really start to smell that cinnamon. Now, you want your batter to rest for about 15 minutes while the waffle maker powers on. All right, so the 15 minutes has passed and our waffle maker is ready. Now, the waffle maker I like to use is the one from Calphalon. This is the IntelliCrisp waffle maker, and it has a small little, variety of settings from light to dark. And I like to put this waffle maker, if you are willing to invest in it, I like to put it on the very first light niche. And that's because this one gets really, really hot with the ceramic coating, and the waffles will come out really dark, but it's also to your liking. So we can go ahead and get started. Now, people poured, they put it in measuring cups and all that, but I guess I've been doing this long enough to where I honestly don't need to. I can just do it by eye. Now, with this waffle maker, it is ceramic coated, so you do not, and I repeat, you do not need to spray it because it is non-stick. Pretty soon, you're gonna see a whole bunch of steam starting, and once again, that's because of that baking soda and the salt mixture inside. Now, when all that steam is finished, that's when your waffle maker is traditionally done. Now, our good friends at Calphalon made a beautiful screen on here that gives you a 2.5 minute timer on when your waffles will be ready. And it will beep just in case, gotta go to the bathroom real quick or go charge your phone or something. Now, as you can see, the steam is starting to rise, and you can already start to smell that cinnamon already. Now, waffles can be eaten at any time. All right, so there's plenty of ways that you can dress these bad boys up, but for the first one, we're just gonna keep it super, super simple. Boom, and voila, our waffles are ready. So, what happened here was, we did not leave them for long enough to cook. You see how they're still kind of white at the top? So, the good thing about this waffle maker is pretty simple. Just close it, lock it back again, and just let them cook for a little longer, if you have the waffles coming out a little white at the top. You see how these waffles are pretty white at the top? Now, since the waffle maker is brand new, your first batch is usually your throwaway batch. Be very careful taking this out because it is extremely hot. All right, now you see how these waffles are very consistent and brown on this side, but they seem a little undercooked on the other side? We could probably use some more batter in there, and then the top layer of the waffle maker is always not as hot as the bottom. Now, you can hear that crunch, but I assure you they are very fluffy and light on the inside. Now let's go ahead and pour our second batter, our second batch. Now, I remember the first time I was on the street with these, I was super, super nervous, and I really thought that, it wouldn't be a hit. My first night making waffles on the street, people were like, "Oh, what are you making?" And I told them I'm making waffles, right? And they said, "Waffles, like it's not something very common you see on the street." Now, Los Angeles street culture, you see a lot of different things on the street. It goes way beyond the tacos and your churros and everything. So with these waffles, the first night I made $2, right? And I made $2 because the lady didn't have enough to give me for an actual waffle. So $2 is all I made. But with anything, just like the mix and everything, you gotta be consistent. Second night, $15. Third night, $40. and my 4th night, I sold out. So, and thanks to my friends from Cathalon, it does not take me very long to crank these bad boys out. 2 minutes, 15 seconds at max. Now, you could really see the steam going to work here, and once again, you can really start to smell legit every ingredient that you added in. You can smell the sugar, you can smell the flour, you can smell the eggs. The eggs even have a smell to them, right? All right, so another thing I like to do, we got some Hershey's chocolate syrup. You can simply and then we're gonna put a little caramel on top. One cool thing about these waffles too is they can be traditional, plain with a little bit of syrup, or you can literally customize them to your likings. And that's one thing with my business. I like to customize waffles to people's likings, literally. Whatever you think is fit for a waffle, it is. All right, we got some powdered sugar. Once again, this is just for the aesthetic look of things. And everyone's favorite treat, especially the kids, Nutella. One thing I should add, whenever you're taking waffles off of a waffle iron with ceramic coating, you're technically not supposed to use a metal fork because if this scratches the coating, it could really damage it. You should use plastic. I have it down to a point now to where I'm not gonna hit the coating, but for first-time users of this machine, I advise you to use plastic. Now, boom, we got 2 perfect, beautiful waffles right here. Throw some powdered sugar on them. And voila, this is our finished product. Now you could do a lot more with this, but this is just a bare, basic creation of mine. All right, so that was the first recipe. Now we're gonna move to a second one. And honestly, a waffle recipe is pretty universal, right? You have your flour, your sugar, your baking soda, your butter, and then you have milk, water, or buttermilk. And in this instance, we're gonna use buttermilk. Now, like the rest, we're gonna separate the eggs, we're gonna let the mix hit for 15 minutes, and we're gonna add that buttermilk. These buttermilk waffles are gonna be extremely fluffy. And that's really what, what the goal for this one is. They're gonna be extremely fluffy. So we're gonna add an extra egg for this one. So we're gonna use 3 eggs. And once again, we are gonna wanna separate them. And once again, the eggs, it really doesn't matter, it is your personal preference, but you are gonna wanna use large eggs. Grade A large eggs. Boom, 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Egg yolk can get a little messy, so I like to, keep a towel right here. Now, we're gonna add our melted butter. Now, right here, this is your buttermilk, right? And you're gonna wanna just add that into the wet ingredients. Get all that drip drop right there. And again, I like to add the sugar to the wet ingredients so the sugar and the butter could really get to work with each other. I'm gonna add my baking soda into the flour. Now, same thing. We're gonna let this sit for just a few moments. Now we can slowly add this in. All right, now buttermilk waffles, since that buttermilk is so thick, this is almost gonna come out, as I said, like cake dough. All right, we're all mixed in there. Now back to the tedious part of beating these egg whites. They're almost ready. They're already starting to peak up. And once you commit to beating these bad boys, just stick through it because you don't want runny egg whites in there. You know, it's not gonna mix in how you want it. Boom. See how that's standing up on its own? That's exactly how you want it. You want these bad boys to stand up on their own. At this point, I want to ditch that whisk, and then I want to get these egg whites folded in with this spatula. Here, you don't want to crazy mix it in, right? We're just going to let these simply fold in. You just want to fold these in here. Now, we want to let these bad boys sit, and we want to let everything, all the ingredients start to go to work with each other. So that dough is actually going to start to rise, right? Some people, again, they let it sit overnight. You know, you could wrap it, put it in the fridge, but for the beginners, 15 minutes right here. All right, so now that our waffle maker is ready and our batter has sat for about 15 minutes, we're ready to get these bad boys in here. Right, and then for the buttermilk waffles, since they're gonna be a little bit sweeter, I like to just spruce it up with the sweets. We're gonna put a Nutella on there, and we also got some nice gelato ice cream as well. Now, once again, that steam is really going to work in there, right? So once that steam is done, that's when our waffles should be done. They'll smell really, really good, right? This lock keeps it compressed down, and then usually, you see some people making waffles, it's just a gooey mess on the sides, but this one is really cool because it has an outer dish that should catch all that for you. Let's see. Uh-oh, got a little sticky action from the top. Not a problem. You can just, this does happen from time to time, but that does not, I repeat, that does not mean that you need to spray this bad boy. The buttermilk also gives it that nice golden texture. Boom, perfectly golden brown all the way around buttermilk Belgian waffle. Oh, that second beep tells you that the machine is ready again for the next batch. Now in Belgium, they like to go Nutella crazy. This one, I said we're gonna make it sweet, right? Let's do a crumbled up Oreo. So we got some nice gelato right here that we're gonna put right on top. A little bit more than that, right? However you like to say it, caramel, I say caramel. A deliciously made buttermilk Belgian waffle. Now, coming up next, we're gonna make buttermilk waffles again, but with buttermilk and Frank's Red Hot fried chicken. You ain't gonna wanna miss this. Best fried chicken sandwich you ever had in your life, I guarantee it. All right, I told you guys we're gonna make the world's best buttermilk fried chicken and buttermilk waffle sandwich, and here we are. So first, let's start with our chicken. Now, it's got Frank's red sauce on it, so we really wanted to have some kick. So I'm gonna just put a little bit of lemon pepper. We're gonna season it with some cayenne pepper. Then we're gonna just throw a little dash of paprika on there. Honestly, that's good. And then we can finish it off with some seasoned salt. Now, it doesn't have to be a certain way, but you know, it's food. You can customize it, you can do it to your likings, but this is just how I rock and how I do it. You're gonna need some gloves, it's gonna get kind of messy. So, I like to rub that seasoning on there. And then our second step is gonna take our chicken and dip it in the buttermilk. Now, I usually let this marinate for about 12 hours, right? So this is for sure an overnight thing because you really want to get all the flavor in these chicken breasts. So mixed in with our buttermilk and our hot sauce and all of our seasoning, the next step is going to be to bread these bad boys. Just toss these up a little bit. And you can see it looks all red from that Frank's Red Hot. And that's really going to give it that kick. Now, you might want a few gloves because this does get pretty messy. Then from here, we're gonna bring our chicken over and we're gonna bread it. So You can do the plastic bag method, or you can just do a open container like this. For today, we're just gonna do an open container, and then just really make sure that this chicken is very finely breaded. And I'm just gonna do one simple piece at a time. We don't have to go, you know, too deep into detail. Boom, and then bring that over. And boom, dip that in that oil just like that. Now, if your oil starts popping off too much, that means your oil is a little too hot, right? And remember, grease and water are worst enemies. So I do rinse my chicken breasts, but I definitely let them sit. All right, and then we're gonna put that second piece in there. All right, and as I said, it gets pretty messy. Now, while that is over there sizzling, you can come to your waffles. Now, you want to do this simultaneously so your food is very, very fresh, but the chicken is going to take about 8 minutes to fry or so. So we could turn the waffle maker on, definitely get it ready. And then our waffle batter, give it a quick little stir. It might have been sitting out for a minute. You might have covered it and put it back in the fridge. All right. And you're gonna let this preheat. And I would say about 5-6 minutes in, because these waffles cook pretty fast. About 5-6 minutes in, we can throw the waffle on there so we can have a perfectly good sandwich. And that your waffle could be crispy and hot and your chicken could be crispy and hot. All right. And I like to, when the chicken is done, throw some nice basil leaves on there too. Gives it that nice aesthetic look that America loves, right? You're gonna wanna use some metal tongs. I don't like using the silicone ones. I feel like the fryer really eat them up. So you wanna use some metal tongs. And then right here, I have a little oil scooper and filter. The chicken tends to crumb around a lot. You wanna grab a plate. And with the plate, simply put some napkins on here, and this is going to trap that excess grease that comes off that chicken. Put your plate right here and get it ready. Now, with the flour, you're probably going to want to add some more flour because that chicken, after about 3-4 pieces, your flour pot will be looking pretty dry. So we can add some more flour if need be. It's right there on the counter. All right. And one cool thing with chicken when you're frying it, you know it's ready when the chicken starts to float, right? When it's still sunk under the oil, it's not ready yet. And then when you take it out, it's just like regular chicken. Cut in it, make sure it's all white. And of course, back to the dishes. All right, we still preheating with the waffle maker. Chicken is doing its thing. Now with chicken, you really don't need to flip it or check it. As I said, once it's floating, that's really how you know it's ready. And if your grease starts to pop off, just simply turn your heat down. All right, so about 5-6 minutes in, our chicken's almost done, so we can head to this waffle now. Waffle maker is ready. Just gonna pour some batter in. Okay. And again, you can make these waffles, you know, full size of the pan, or you can even make them like little sliders to have fried chicken sliders, but I'm gonna give you guys the full experience. So we want a nice full waffle. Put a little bit in to fill in some of that room. Voila. Waffles about to get to cooking, chicken is about to come out, and we are about to have ourselves a meal. Now you see here, chicken is almost ready. It's really starting to get a nice golden brown color to it. Now these pieces are just, this one's still sinking a little bit, but this bad boy right here is just about floating. Just a little longer on those. All right, and as I said, when it comes out, we're gonna stab into it a little bit and we'll really get to see what the inside is looking like. All right, boom. Waffle Maker is set, and I love our friends at Calphalon. They really got a really dope waffle maker. Look at those bad boys. Nice and golden brown. The buttermilk is smelling wonderful. Now, they can still sit in there just to get a little bit more crisp over the top, right? Our chicken is ready. Be careful because this grease is hot. I'll let the grease run off that bad boy. Give it a little tap right there. Set it on a paper towel. I'm gonna do the same exact thing with this bad boy. Set it on the paper towel. All right, now with your oil, you can simply move your oil off the heat so it can cool down. So while our chicken is cooling down, we can take our waffles out now. All right, those waffles are coming off of there hot. Boom. Now, we got our chicken done and our waffles are done. So what's next? Allow that chicken to kind of drip down a little bit. And we just gonna break these bad boys apart. Now, one thing I like to put on my waffles is, on my chicken and waffles, is a little honey. You can even throw a little bit more hot sauce on there. It is completely up to you. Some people like, you know, coleslaw and pickles. As I said, I'm just gonna show y'all the basics, right? Boom. I'm gonna cut into this to make sure it's ready. All I see is nice white meat in there. Take this. Just gonna place it right on top of that like that. I like that. Take this waffle right here. And voila. Once again, we're not even dressing it up crazy, but we got the bare basics. You have a buttermilk waffle, buttermilk fried chicken sandwich. Now this is the real deal right here. 2 complete, full, thick Belgian buttermilk waffles. You know, if you present it to somebody, you know, maybe take that little side off right there. All right, and boom, there we have it. Buttermilk fried chicken, buttermilk waffle sandwich. Once again, this chicken is gonna have a nice crunch and texture to it. Got the Frank's Red Hot in there, so it's gonna give you a nice hot taste. And the buttermilk is gonna cool it down. It's gonna be the perfect combination. And you've seen it first right here. Thank you guys for cooking with me today. I used to be on the streets and now I'm in the kitchen. You just witnessed the episode of Dantes Street Kitchen and we made some wonderful waffles today. And I'm not gonna lie, that chicken was really good. Join me next week for a $100 waffle mixed with champagne. You're not going to miss out.